Hey, welcome back ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy, and the DC Cinematic Universe has been officially rebooted. The events of The Flash have restarted the DC Cinematic Universe, laying the groundwork for James Gunn's brand new Superman, as well as a very familiar face returning to the new DCU as Batman.
I'm Batman.
And we have a post-credit scene that reveals some of our classic DCEU characters will be sticking around. And in a weird way, we sort of got a brand new Flash. Well, not exactly, but as of right now, the character is still played by Ezra Miller, but the character has fundamentally changed and has a lot of growth in this film. And we're going to talk about the true meaning of this film and how its use of time travel and the multiverse create the perfect setting for this coming-of-age story, and how this character growth not only changes the character of Barry Allen, but the future of DC movies as well.
So you're saying you could travel back in time?
But Bruce, I can fix things.
You could also destroy everything.
By the way, guys, I really appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. It's always a big help. Things have been really stressful. Very stressful around here lately.
Person, stop stress eating crackers. The noise is very loud in the microphone and it hurts my sensitive little ears.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm not even hungry. It's just a compulsive thing. It's really hard to stop. Now, back to what I was saying. So, while The Flash is a multiversal time travel extravaganza with multiple Batmans and an alien invasion, its key focus is more down to earth. Self-discovery, self-sacrifice, inner struggle, self-acceptance, and grief. I was also really impressed with the way this film was able to be a giant spectacle culmination film, yet simultaneously be the Flash origin film that we've never got to see. In The Flash, we got to see Barry grow from an immature, childlike character offering comedic relief.
My special skills include viola, web design, fluent in sign language, gorilla sign language,
to becoming a title character in his own right, a character worthy of his own film. And I just want to address something really quick. I've heard some people say that they could have just called this film Batman Flashpoint. And I'm sorry, but no, that could not be further from the truth. This movie is a Flash film through and through. Batman is a supporting character in this film. An important supporting character, but a supporting character nonetheless. And while Ezra Miller is very problematic in the real world, I have to look beyond that to give this movie an honest analysis. And the truth is that the two characters who carry this film are Barry Allen and Barry Allen.
My face. You stole my face.
The death of Barry's mother set Barry down the path to becoming the Flash. Had Barry's mother never died, his father would have been arrested for her murder. Sidebar, Barry's dad didn't kill his mother, but we'll talk about who did in a later video.
Something is afoot with this whole affair.
Now, it's like I always say,
Hey, don't vape on the job.
oh no man, this is not a vape. This is just an easy way to help me kick stress eating, which is my oral fixation habit. It gives my hands something to do when I'm feeling anxious, which is all the time.
Or what is that?
Why, this is a naturally diffusive device called Fume. They're the sponsor of this video. It uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habits for a positive one.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's really nice. So instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses these cores that are infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors instead of harmful chemicals.
Well, I can't smell any vapor.
Yeah, dude, it's because it's not a vape. It's not even electrical. Fume uses flavored air instead of vapor, and I love the taste. It also has this adjustable airflow and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, which gives your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for calming my anxiety. Fume is helping me to turn my negative habits into positive habits. It makes switching easy and even fun. They have thousands of 5-star reviews and hundreds of thousands of customers who have used Fume to change their lives, and it helped them to switch when other solutions just weren't working. So head to tryfume.com/ScreenCrush and use the code ScreenCrush to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and everything you need to finally be free of your bad habit. That's tryfum.com and use the code ScreenCrush to save an additional 10% off your order today. Now back to what I was saying. Barry's path in life was paved by his mission to prove his father's innocence. This inspired him to go into forensic criminal research. And in this film, we finally got to see the night that Barry got his powers. When doing late-night work at a crime lab, Barry is struck by lightning. Well, actually, the lightning strikes through a shelf full of chemicals first that then strikes Barry and gives him his speedster powers. The death of Barry's mother, the imprisonment of his father, and the lightning strike that gave him his powers not only led to him becoming the fastest man alive, but he was fundamentally changed as a person. Like Batman or Spider-Man, the Flash's tragedy defines him.
These scars we have make us who we are. Don't let your tragedy define you.
So when Barry realizes that he has the ability to travel through time, he makes the immature but understandable choice to travel back and save his mother, despite a warning from his superhero mentor, Batman. Barry travels back in time to put a can of tomatoes in his mother's cart at the grocery store, making it to where his dad would never have to leave the house to pick up a can of tomatoes. And with his dad staying home, whoever murdered Barry's mother never would have broke into what they thought was an empty house, and the murder would have never happened, meaning that his dad would have never gone to jail, thus resetting the timeline and giving Barry the life that he always wanted. After altering the timeline, we see Barry running back through time, headed toward the present day he came from. But as he's traveling through time, he is encountered by a dark figure who also has access to the Speed Force. This figure knocks Barry out of the Chrono Bowl, where he lands in 2013, the same year that Man of Steel takes place and Zod invades Earth. Barry soon realizes that tampering with time has created a timeline where metahumans like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Superman do not exist, and that without them, the Earth is doomed.
We're doomed.
Barry's reckless decision is reminiscent of other multiversal films such as Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. In No Way Home, Peter ignores Doctor Strange's warning to not tamper with the multiverse, and Across the Spider-Verse, we see Miles ignore the warnings of Miguel. But in most films, it turns out that the young hero is right to challenge their mentor, break the status quo, and save the day. But that's not the case in The Flash. Bruce's warning that Barry could destroy everything by tampering with time comes true. But what this film does differently is it has Barry become his own mentor, not only by him having to be the adult in the room, but by having him face his inner struggle and literally fight with himself.
Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself!
When younger Barry learns why his older self returned to the past to prevent their mother from dying, young Barry becomes obsessed with not allowing that to happen. Older Barry spent the bulk of his life trying to prove his father's innocence, despite it being clear that there's no way to prove his innocence. Similarly, younger Barry becomes obsessed with not allowing his mother to die, not allowing this world he knows to end, and not allowing his older self to travel back again and put things back to how they were. Instead of Barry being confronted by an inner struggle in his own head, he's literally confronted with a physical version of himself, a reflection in the mirror. And it isn't until he sees the pain and obsession in the eyes of his younger self that he realizes that he has to let his mother go. He has to accept that there's not a solution to every problem, just like his mother told him when he was a child.
I believe there's a hero in all of us, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most.
We then see younger Barry's obsession grow, and we meet what is being called on merchandise the Dark Flash. He's actually just a future version of younger Barry who has been reliving this final battle with Zod again and again and again for what looks like at least 50 years, but it's implied that it could have been even longer.
I wake up every day right here, and it's always February 2nd, and there's nothing I can do about it.
And while the third act and the villain aren't the strongest parts of the film, I thought it was brilliant that Barry plays every key role in the story. Zod is not the main villain. Barry is. Batman isn't the mentor. Barry is. It's one of the most unique examples of inner conflict I've ever seen depicted on film, and I am here for it. Seeing these other universes begin to collide showed younger Barry that he was wrong and acting selfishly. And speaking of the multiverse collapsing, that scene was awesome! We saw Jay Garrick's Flash. Jay Garrick is the OG Flash from the comics who debuted back in the 1940s. We see Christopher Reeve Superman, Helen Slater Supergirl, and Adam West Batman. And of course, there was my favorite, Nicolas Cage's Superman. And we actually have a video coming out breaking down that movie that never was, Superman Lives. And in our Easter egg video for The Flash coming out tomorrow, we'll be breaking down this multiverse scene even more, so be sure to keep it here to ScreenCrush for that. And this scene wasn't merely fan service. This scene plays an immense role in the overall story of The Flash and the theme of the film. This cataclysmic event does not change the mind of Dark Flash, but it does change the mind of younger Barry. And when Dark Flash goes to stab the main Barry with his Kryptonian metal spear, younger Barry jumps in the way and saves him. Young Barry dying then results in Dark Flash dusting away, just like in the very underrated film, Looper.
Wait, but the main Barry is also a future version of younger Barry, so why didn't he die too when young Barry died?
Well, Doug, and great outfit, by the way.
Why, thank you very much.
And to answer your question, it's because young Barry and the main Barry are essentially two different beings. Earlier in the film, we hear our main Barry say that if young Barry doesn't get struck by lightning and get his powers, then he too will lose his powers. Maybe. Keyword there is maybe. And ironically, he ends up losing his powers anyways in the effort to keep them. And it's later that we learn that this isn't even how time travel works. The main main Barry exists on a fulcrum that isn't affected by younger Barry's actions.
I'm so confused.
But Dark Flash, on the other hand, is a direct extension of younger Barry. They are connected and essentially the same being on the same fulcrum. And as Michael Keaton's Batman explained, time travel works like a fulcrum. When you travel back in time, not only do you change the future, you change the past. Now, another fun detail about Dark Flash is that his Speed Force lightning is the color purple. Barry's natural Speed Force lightning is blue, but when he's wearing his new suit, it's yellow.
Blue, yellow, pink. Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that.
Blue can represent youthfulness, while yellow can represent growth. This film shows us Barry both as an immature youth without his new suit, represented by blue lightning, as well as a Barry who takes on the role of a mentor who grows as a character, represented by yellow lightning. But purple can represent self-reflection and awareness. When young Barry meets the Dark Flash, his future self, it is there that he begins to reflect on what he's doing, and he becomes aware of the harm that he's causing. Dark Flash serves as a wake-up call, so I thought it was fitting that they went with purple lightning. And another unique path that the Flash film takes is its acceptance of absolute points. In a film like Spider-Man No Way Home, we see Peter buck the idea that the villains can't be redeemed and are destined to die.
It's their fate.
Come on, Strange, have a heart.
And across the Spider-Verse, Miles refuses to accept that his father as a police captain must die.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
The Flash, on the other hand, shows our hero accept that tragedy is part of his story and is necessary in order for the multiverse and trillions upon trillions of people within it to survive. Flash sacrifices his own mother in order to keep the multiverse from collapsing.
These scars we have make us who we are. I'm not meant to go back and fix them.
There is one little thing that caused a pretty massive change to happen, and that is the return of George Clooney's Batman.
Welcome back. We missed you.
At the start of the film, we see that Bruce Wayne has enhanced some security footage of Barry's dad in the store getting the can of tomatoes. Security footage that would corroborate he and Barry's alibi to prove his innocence. But the problem is, he's wearing a ball cap and he never looks up, so we don't see his face. When Barry returns to the past and removes the can of tomatoes from his mom's cart, he sits it on a higher shelf. So when his dad comes to pick them up, he'll look up and his face will be seen by the security camera, thus proving his innocence.
Person, hold on. You just did a horse spiel about how Barry learned that he can't alter the past because it's too dangerous. Why did he think saving his dad wouldn't cause any trouble?
That's a great question, buddy, but the answer is that it really wouldn't change much. Barry moving the can of tomatoes to where his dad shows his face didn't prevent his dad from ever going to jail. The security camera footage was corrupted, and without Bruce's enhancement, it couldn't prove his innocence.
Magnify that death sphere. Why is it still blurry?
Making it bigger doesn't make it clearer.
So, Barry moving the can up to the top shelf wouldn't come in handy until after the footage was enhanced by Bruce, meaning that the timeline, for the most part, would have transpired the same way until the footage was enhanced. But, as we heard Ben Affleck's Batman explain,
You step on the wrong blade of grass, you have no idea what the consequences to that could be.
So while it would appear that the timeline didn't change too much from Barry moving the can, it's a different Bruce Wayne.
You could reset the timeline. You can try to fix it. But no matter how hard you try, it's never going to be exactly how it was.
So, while the new Batman was revealed to be George Clooney, I don't think that necessarily means that his 1997 Batman and Robin film is now canon.
All right, everyone, chill.
Please, don't be canon. I think we can assume that this version of Clooney's Batman had a relatively similar journey as Ben Affleck's Batman, given that the universe likely played out in a similar fashion. That being said, I do think that Clooney's Batman could be a lighter take on the character. Some people are speculating that this could just be a gag, and that Clooney isn't actually the new Batman. That's the Batman of the DCU in the upcoming Brave and the Bold film. With Ezra Miller likely not returning as Flash, some people have speculated that they didn't want to introduce the brand new Batman alongside Ezra Miller. Actually, our own Colton Ogburn saw an early cut of the Flash at CinemaCon, and I'm going to let him describe the ending that he saw a couple months ago.
Yeah, so the cut I saw ended with just Bruce stepping out of the car, and all we see is his feet, and then we cut back to Barry, and Barry says, "Who the f*** is that?" And the movie ends, and I really liked that ending. It implies that we got a new Batman, but without revealing who that new actor is, but I did know it was possible that come the final cut of the film, we may very well meet the new Batman, and perhaps they just didn't want to spoil who that would be. But I want to mention that there are set photos of that scene showing that Michael Keaton actually filmed this scene in front of the courthouse steps. So I don't know if that was just a fake out, or if they originally planned to have Keaton become the DCU's Batman. I certainly did not think that George Clooney would be the new Batman, and I'm all for seeing Clooney take another crack at the character. And I just want to add that if the new Batman for like Brave and the Bold and the DCU, If it's not George Clooney and this whole thing is just a gag, then I think that was a bad choice, and I think the no-face ending would have been a better option.
That's a good point, Colton. If Gunn wanted to hold off on introducing his new Batman, then that no-face ending would have been the way to go. Tease that there's a new Batman coming without revealing who it is. But if you did want to debut your new Batman, this would arguably be the perfect place to do it. After all, Gunn did say that The Flash resets the DC universe, resetting the universe for his new set of films to come. So then why throw in Clooney in an already crowded field of Batman actors?
How many of you are there?
As many as are needed!
They're trying to phase out Affleck. The Flash film had Keaton, Pattinson's doing his own thing, and they're trying to introduce a new Batman for the DCU. So why muddy that up with a gag? That's why I think this very well could be confirmation that George Clooney is the DCU's Batman. And while at first that may seem like a really odd choice, I don't hate it. He is a great actor. He's a huge name that carries a ton of credibility, and of course, he's played the character before, so there's a lot of familiarity. I think this could really be a great choice and provide a much needed stark difference between the DCU's Batman and Robert Pattinson.
Meanwhile,
hello out there, we're on the air, it's hockey night tonight.
Plus, Gunn has said that the DCU's Batman will be older. And if they wanted to distance themselves from Ezra, they wouldn't have included the post-credits scene with them and Jason Momoa. Momoa is one of their biggest stars, and Aquaman is one of their most profitable films. So the argument that Clooney's cameo is a gag to suggest that Ezra isn't coming back doesn't really hold water. If that were the case, why would they include a post-credits scene with Momoa? And why would James Gunn keep talking about how Flash resets the DC universe, laying the groundwork for his new DCU? Now, having said all that, this film also perfectly parallels the situation DC has found itself in. We revisit the events of the very first DCEU film, Man of Steel. We're literally going back to where it started. We have DC icons like Christopher Reeve's Superman and Michael Keaton's Batman, but also failed projects like the Nicolas Cage Superman. In a meta sense, DC has reached a point where they realize, to quote Barry's mom, there's not a solution to every problem.
We are the film.
This is totally meta.
I'm not going to turn this into an editorial on the DCEU, but it's no secret that it's had a pretty rough road. And with the hiring of James Gunn and the confirmed reboot of the on-screen DC universe, we're seeing DC have an identical realization as Barry Allen, accepting that what was is what was. It's the past, you can't change it, but you can still move forward while honoring what has come before. So let me know, what did you think of The Flash? How does it stack up against other multiversal films, and does it make you excited for the future of the DCU? And just a reminder everyone, to change your bad habits today, head to tryfum.com and use the code ScreenCrush to save an additional 10% off your order today. We've got an Easter egg video coming out so soon and lots of other Flash coverage in the pipeline, so be sure to subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss a thing. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.